Everybody have a good first week.
What? Oh, whoa, that's hot. Here's the 22. Yeah. So they didn't notice the people running out the front. Yeah. But that got to go out one door, right? Yes. Sure. For a couple of laptops. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Anything to probably would have. They'd have broke their leg and they'd have had to pay the medical bills. Hmm. Are we good? Okay. All right. Um, well, Brother John, Raymond, James, and I are back. Um, we we three, or I mean, I'll start with me. I did not have any ill side effects of going up on the mountain. James and Raymond's was mild. Their sinuses dried out because at 12,000 feet in the middle of the desert, it gets dry. And um, Gary, when you last time you went, was the road decently paved coming across the mountain?
Yeah, it said it was right at the end of the rainy season, and so about half the switchbacks, maybe half the road or so have been washed out.
Well, now the asphalt is deteriorating severely. The van going over the mountain to Trevina had no shocks, and the seats were wore out, and it was rough. The van coming back to Puccio, it was a little better. It wasn't near as rough. Yeah, it was a newer van. Yeah. Holy cow. The one going to Cora Cora was awful. Man. And just so y'all know, anybody that wants to go, they don't move a van unless it's packed. They are selling every inch of seat they can, and it was tight. So, but Brother John had a little more altitude sickness than the rest of us. I'm not sure. Some of his was related to lack of rest. When we hit the ground in Lima at 6 o'clock, we got off the plane. We walked right through customs. We grabbed our bag. By 7 o'clock, we were outside catching the van going to the guest house. 7:30, we're at the guest house. But they didn't have a room for us, and so we had to sit. We sat in a spare room that they had available, but it wasn't for us, so we didn't get to stay in it. We sat there and waited for the rooms to become available, and so you didn't get to rest a lot until they got our rooms ready for us that night. So Saturday night, we got to sleep, got up early Sunday morning, went to church, and turned around, and after the service, we had a lunch and a short meeting with the pastor, talk about a few things, and then went back to the guest house, got our bags ready, and went to the bus station at, we got to the bus station at 6. And so we wait to get on the bus. We get on there at 7. We ride 13 hours. You get off in Puccio at 6:30. It's a little quicker now. For some reason, it doesn't take the full 12 or 13 hours to get up to Puccio. And coming down was, it was a little quicker. So, but you sit there and you have to wait for your van. The van that was supposed to come get us wasn't supposed to get there till 11 because we shouldn't have got there, till 8 o'clock or so. And so we went and got something to eat. Some of us went and got something to eat, and then the rest of us watched their bags and made sure they didn't walk off. But so we did that, and then we got on the van and rode to rode to Trevina. And Francisco was going to make good use of every hour he had us there, because we got there and he was ready for us to go to work. It wasn't, y'all need to rest. Yeah. We walked 5 kilometers uphill both ways to the next village over and visited with them. But it was worthwhile. It was tiring. Brother John did not make that trip. He was give out. Now we wore patches, and they had cetazolamide. We took those pills, and it helped with our motion sickness. None of us had any motion sickness. I think Brother John's was altitude and lack of rest. I think lack of oxygen. And maybe lack of oxygen too. And he had the sinus problems too, with the drying out and making your sinuses bleed. And so he was under the weather there. He preached Sunday morning, did a fantastic job, preached a very good sermon. Had one guy, I want to change the way we do altar call and do it the way they do it. We're sitting about halfway back, and Most of the people are behind us. And so Brother John got done with his message and sat down, and Pastor Manuel got up and he said, does anybody want to make a profession of faith, blah, blah, blah. And somebody stood up and he said, you go to him. And so they have somebody come to you, and that's your person to disciple for a while. And so it was very interesting. But it was really neat. So that was very good. And so, but a lot of it was just mental stress and fatigue from not getting a lot of sleep, because you don't sleep well on the airplane. We left at 11:30. So, well, some people don't. Some people say others do.
Anything going on.
But yeah, and so, but getting rest was the hard part. And so the big thing we learned was to count your blessings here at home. We may not have everything we want, but we have way more than a lot of people. Francisco is fixing to try to start a social project over in Santa Rosa, which is the little village about 5 kilometers away. Because after Wednesday, they're out of food. They don't have any more food. I'm not talking about they've got peanut butter and jelly and bread in the cabinet. They just don't want that. They don't have any more food. Yeah. And so nothing. They might have some saltine crackers, I guess, but he said they're out of food, and I figure he knows what he's talking about. So he's going to try to get that going. Those of us that's been down to Chavina think of Chavina as a poor village. Santa Rosa is even poorer than Chavina. And, you wouldn't think bigotedness would be a big thing up on top of a mountain. The people in Chavina don't like the people over in Santa Rosa. They don't trust them. They won't let their kids go over to Santa Rosa and participate in the church activities or the mission activities that Carlene is doing with those kids over there. And they'll have, they had 20? Well, they had 2 different groups, and I figure there was about 10 in each group. So there's probably 20 kids over there in Santa Rosa, but Chavina ain't about to let Santa Rosa's or their kids go over there to associate with Santa Rosa's, but they'll let Santa Rosa come over and interact with in Chavina. So it's sort of crazy, but it was real. The kids, they're as sweet as they can be once they get to know you. They're a little bit standoffish because you're a stranger. You don't look like they do. You don't talk like they do. And so they don't trust you yet. But once they do trust you, they'll be right there. And so, the big thing that I got out of going, and if I'd have got called on, and I think my people wish I'd have got called on to do Sunday morning service instead of the guy that did, because y'all need to count your blessings for our pastor. We sat through a long sermon. It was a good hour of him speaking, and he didn't get started till 11:50. Yeah. So we were with one getting out of there, and they were having communion after he had his sermon, and they don't have pads on their pews. But I knew Brother John was exhausted. I'd already made up my mind he was not going to get up to speak Sunday morning. If they wanted one of us to give a account of what we saw on the mountain, I was going to do that. So anyway, y'all are going to get that scripture, and we'll talk about it because I was already prepared for it, and it fit in with what Francisco is doing. It is John chapter 1, starting in verse 15. When they had eaten breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me? Or do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," he said to him. "You know that I love you. Feed my lambs." He told him a second time. He asked him, or he told him a second time. He asked him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," he said to him. "You know that I love you. Shepherd my sheep," he told him. He asked him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was grieved that he asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." "Feed my sheep," Jesus said. Francisco is doing a very good work in a place that's really, really tough. For his age, Gary, do you remember exactly how old he is?
No, but I guess it's late 60s.
Yes, sir. That would be my guess. Him and Lily are both working very hard in that village to reach adults. Raymond and I had the privilege of going with Lily, and I felt so inadequate would be one term, but that I couldn't speak the same language as the people. I felt going through the translator, it's hard because when you speak, when I speak to one of y'all, I can just talk and wait on you to respond. And you get my inflections, you get my facial expressions, the whole thing. But if you're going through the translator can't translate your inflections.
Remember Lily said that it was enough for them that you as Americans came. It wasn't so much what we said, and Lily could say that, but that we cared enough to come there with them.
Right.
That they seen that as an honorable thing.
Right. Yeah. That was the thing that made me feel a lot better about my inadequacy of being able to, because she's like, "Do you want to share your testimony?" I don't mind sharing my testimony, but I can't get it across the way going through the translator. Not that there's anything wrong with the translator. And we did the best we could. I know James shared his with Antonio and his wife when we first got over there to Santa Rosa. We shared our testimonies at different times with some other people. But it's hard because you say 5 or 6 words, and then you got to wait for your translator to get those words across. And if they don't quite understand them, they have to break it down to the way it means to them. But Francisco, Lily, and Carlene, his daughter, they are doing the first part where it says, "Feed my lambs." They are working so hard with the children because they are more apt to come and listen to you. Carlene made the statement that if you can bring in one of the children, you've got a whole person. If you reach an adult, you've got half a person because they've already spent half their life living not for the Lord. But if you can get one of those children and teach them and raise them up in the Lord, you get the whole life, and they will be there to witness. That they have done an amazing job in a very tough place with limited material. They do a very good job with that, and they try to reach these children. They get to them a lot the same way we do with ours. They feed them, but they feed them snacks. They don't have a big enough budget where they can feed a full meal. If they could feed a full meal, they could probably reach the whole community. So, I mean, cooking a pot of rice shouldn't be too hard. Throw a couple extra chickens in there, but it's that they want to be able to reach people through feeding people, but they are working to do the second part in shepherding the sheep. They have a few new converts that they don't know exactly what they're supposed to do as Christians. And so they're having to instruct. Two of the people that got baptized, Walter and his wife Matilda, they ride over to Cora Cora twice a month to meet with them and a few other people that they can get together for a Bible study, for discipling. So it's not like our church services. It's not like Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, we have Sunday school. Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, we're having worship service. It's not exactly like that because it's just not that structured yet. They go into the houses and they have discipleship time with the people because, one, they don't have a church to meet in, but they do go in and teach and pray with and show that they care. We had the privilege of going meeting a young couple whose little boy has a tumor on his left eye. April put it on the prayer page and we asked them, said, can we put this on our prayer page? Because we know as soon as we do, there'll be people praying for your son. And they said, yes, please. And so they go and they meet these families that have needs. They are in a village that has, what would you call it, idol worship. They believe in some forms of witchcraft and stuff like that. Rubbing an egg over their face, rubbing a guinea pig over their face, supposed to take away the tumor. When you're at those young people's point, they're grasping for anything. So there's Francisco and Lily. Let me tell you about someone that can heal your son. Or if he doesn't, let me tell you why these things can happen. And so they're there to comfort them. They're there to instruct them. We all know what happens when illnesses or tragedies befall any of us. Why me? Why this happened to me? You know, they're no different. They just don't know who to turn to. They turn to anything. So Francisco and Lily are there to help them turn to the right person. We shared different testimonies, and I will let Raymond and James share that part with y'all when they have their opportunity to share what we experienced up on the mountain. But we saw a lot of shepherding of the sheep on that hill. Raymond and I had the privilege of going with Lily. Lily is, I wish I was half as bold as Lily. Lily's about this tall, maybe a little taller, but she would walk up to anybody, ask them, how are you, and strike up a conversation. Can I talk to you about Jesus? These are missionaries from the States. Can we come in and talk to you? This lady was sitting outside her house and sitting next to a little drainage ditch, and the water's just flowing through, and everything flows through that little drainage ditch. And so she said, sure, come on in. And so we go in. I hand her a tract that's in Spanish that she can read. And, you know, we have the whole language barrier. Do you understand what this is saying? My interpreter, do you understand what this is saying? And so we talked to her. We talked to her about her family. Her daughter was upstairs. She called her. She came down there and sat. Lily shared with her. This is another thing that Carlene does. She teaches English, math, and she uses the Bible to teach English. Some of the people in Javinia don't want their children to hear about the Bible, so they don't send their child to learn English from Carlene. But there's a lot of them that they don't care how they learn English. They know that's another way for them to get out of Javinia. So they send them. She teaches English, math, and then they have Bible study. Lily offered or let her know that they taught that. She said, I didn't know that. Thank you for letting us know. She explained where the mission was. She knew where that building was. So while we're sitting there, we're just discussing what she does, where her husband is. Her husband's a miner. So he had been down at the mines. And we didn't know he was coming in. And about 5 minutes later, he comes through the door. He didn't slow down. He didn't say, hey. He didn't say, how are you? He didn't say, hey, tell me about Jesus. Nope. Right upstairs he went. And so, but the wife stayed right there. And Lily had a little book. It had all the pictures. It had pictures of where she was in her life, because she said she was not a believer, was not a Christian. She explained to her what Christ did for her, how he died on Calvary, and rose the third day, and what she needed to do to become a Christian. And she went the whole little book, and she said, would you like to pray? And she prayed to receive salvation. Now, all I can say is I heard her pray. Now, I don't know what language, I don't know what it was in Spanish, but I know what Isaac was telling us. And so it was the sinner's prayer to me. So they will follow up with her. They make all these contacts. They write all this stuff down. And they are working on shepherding that village. Raymond does not he has one lady in there that's not his friend. He likes to say she didn't like me. I think she didn't like Raymond. But and actually it was not it was not either one of us. It was Lily, and she is Quechua. She does not want to hear about Jesus. She doesn't want anything to do with Jesus. And she knows Lily is teaching about Jesus. And she was sitting on the sidewalk, and we're fixing to come down this hill, and she's got a cane, and it's laying on the sidewalk next to her. And so we're walking down through there. About the time we get pretty close, she grabs it in the middle, and she shakes it at us, and we're walking on the other side of the street. And Lily already warned us. She said, she does not like me. She does not like us. We was like, okay. And I mean, she was a little old lady, and she meant don't come over here and share your Jesus with me because I don't want to hear nothing about it. And so we didn't. We just kept on moving, and Lily had talked to her before. But anyway, so there are people that you just can't reach. And obviously they had tried, or she wouldn't even known not to speak to Lily. So, but they are shepherding those sheep in there. The last part where it says, feed my sheep. The 5 that were baptized on Wednesday, they are being fed all the time. They reach out to them. They go over to Santa Rosa on Mondays. And when Carlene and Lily are working with the children, Francisco is in the village talking to the adults. Two of the adults had made profession of faith and followed it up with baptism. And yes, yeah. Antonio, what's his name? Yeah, Antonio, Isabella, and I cannot remember his wife's name. No, Isabella was the daughter, right? I can't remember the wife's name. There you go. And so, well, James had the privilege of going and talking to them, and that Francisco and Lily acted like us Americans should have some great power to be able to comfort these new converts. And I was like, I don't, I can tell you what I've been through, but I don't know how it's any different than what you've been through to become a Christian. But anyway, we got to share that several times with people. And I grew a lot in that realm, being able to share it with several different people that I hope to get to see again. I don't know if I ever will, but I hope to. But and you're like, do they understand what I'm saying about my relationship with Jesus, and how it's not going to always be easy? It's probably going to be tough, especially in where there's not a lot of believers to rely on. I mean,
You shared with us last week that it's not an easy decision to be baptized because you may lose your job, you may lose family connections,
mm-hmm.
you may be ostracized.
Sure.
I don't know what that's like.
No, it was. I'll tell you, and I'm sure Raymond and James will say this. It was amazing to be sitting there, because where we were at was public. There was we cordoned off a water hole and went in there by ourselves and had a private ceremony to have this baptism. There's 30 people, easy. That are there's all these people that are just enjoying the hot springs. Yeah, I mean, just like if we went down to the springs to have a baptism, those people ain't gonna slack up doing what they're doing. They did. They were looking. There was a guy that had been swimming in the hole that he got up, went and got his camera and came back and took pictures while they were very curious. They came up and stood on the rocks above us and watched. So their public display of accepting Jesus as their Lord and Savior was very evident. It was out for the public to see. It wasn't like they hid it or anything. So, we have our baptistry right here. Folks out there on the road, they never see that. Where we were, everybody saw it. How many days ago? Right. As long as it's sunny. I like that. I like that hot spring idea. That's a good idea. But Francisco went up there, I think it may have been a week prior. Wasn't a soul up there. Nobody. And so, I'm sure he thought, hey, we'll go up there. There won't be anybody up there. But we got there and there was a crowd of people up there. So, and there was people on up the creek. And so there was a lot of folks around, but they knew why we were there. And so it was a very good demonstration of that they were dying to self and were believers. So it was very.
I like the idea that it was Peruvians baptized Peruvians.
Yes, sir. Yep. And I was very fortunate to be there and very pleased to be there. One of our translators, he brought his guitar. We're like, why are you taking your guitar down there? He didn't know why he was taking his guitar. But he did. And so he got there and he played the music, or he played 3 songs. I think, yeah, while they had the baptism. So they were wanting somebody to be able to have some music there. And he said, hey, I've got my guitar. And Carlene was like, you can play the guitar? He's like, sure. He's like, all right, this is going to work out great. So music is a big thing for the kids. They know all the Christian songs that Carlene plays for them. They can sing them. They can do the motions that she's made up for them. And so it's very useful for her to be able to use music to also reach the kids. But we know that our missionaries up on the mountain are doing these 3 things that Jesus told us to feed his sheep and take care of his sheep, and to nurture his lambs. So I can come back and share that for sure. Where we at? Yeah. So, any questions? What? I ate chicken and rice, and a lot of it, and a couple of ham sandwiches. Well, oh, that's true. Well, chicken and spaghetti. I'm sorry. And it was chicken spaghetti, a little different style. It was a whole thigh on top of my spaghetti. No, we can hold that off for at least a month if you don't mind. Yeah. Hey, and you have to have English peas in it too. The sauce ain't like what we use, though. Golly. But, you can ask Raymond and James. I didn't have anything that I could not eat. I kept it all down, so it didn't hurt me. None of us got sick. That's for sure. That's right. But no, that's the mission of Francisco and Lily started renting this building in 21, I think. And when COVID restrictions really tightened down, it hurt them bad because they came in and said, can't be gathering like that anymore. And so in doing so, they lost some children because the families wound up moving, and first one thing and another. And that really, it hurt them because they lost those children. But now they're back to, we don't know, none of us know how many they normally have, because this week was the end of festival and school was out. They were having festivals over in Cora, which is 45 minutes to the other side of the valley. And a lot of the kids were over there. So, but that's what they use for their children's ministry.
You had to live to have 4 total strangers standing in a room and have 23 Peruvian children come around you and hug you as a group of.
Yep.
Don't know you from Adam.
But they hugged, every one of them hugged each one of us. Yep. Mobbing, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's video of that. I got that Francisco sent us. But yeah, they are trying. And over in Santa Rosa, they don't have a building that they can meet in. So they have a courtyard or a square. And it's got some railing where they fenced off some such a way. And there's about an area about as wide as the aisle here. And they have taken tarp, laid down the tarp, run it up, and then bring it back so that they can get under it for shade. Because at 12,500 feet, that sun's hot. It'll get your face. Everybody over there, little kids, you see little kids running around wearing hats, you know you better wear a hat because they ain't wearing it for a fashion statement. They're wearing it because they need to. And
I thought the weather was in 60.
that ain't got anything to do with it. The sun is that close to you. Yeah.
Y'all adjusted back to the heat.
No, I haven't. I started breaking out in the sweat in about 15 minutes. I was outside this morning. So I was almost ready to go back up on the mountain. But yeah, yeah. Some folks never got warm. Yeah. But he had that Snoopy blanket wrapped around him the whole time. Yeah. Yep. It was different. So, I mean, all 4 of us, I had already been, but the other 3, they know what it is to go up on the mountain, know what it is to go in the altitude with less oxygen. And you don't think about it until you get there and you start to hike up a hill. And it's just right there. I should be able to walk right there. And you get about halfway and you're puffing. And this little lady that you're with is still going. And you're like, wait a minute.
She's not young. She's 85.
Right? No, yeah. So so it'll make you respect those folks that live up there, but it's something to get used to, and by the time you get used to it, you're coming off the mountain, and so. But that's about what I have to share right now. We'll share more. We'll have tons of pictures, tons of videos of other things that we were able to accomplish. Do remember Brother John. He's slowly getting his strength back. He was weak. And when he said he couldn't go, I told him, stay in your room and rest. I said, there's nothing, there's no shame in it, the altitude affecting you.
You never admitted
Nope.
he was
He was
whooped.
whooped. But he was, when we were coming back, he could make jokes about it because we were almost home. But it was something to when this is your first time leading a team and you're like, man, this ain't fun at all. I don't like this a little bit. And so
There was another mission team down here that had someone that died, right?
Yeah.
close. That
He was real mad.
back in 17. Is that right?
No, this year. Before y'all went up there, they was another.
Was it the team that went up from Georgia?
It was, I believe Minnesota or Wisconsin.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that. You didn't share that with us. We might have stayed home. Oh, really?
It happened, they only up for a day after. I got a call from Jim Williams. You're giving his condolences. Because that day he got word that it was one of our group. You heard that, right?
Yeah.
They don't like them much. I can hide stuff from them.
I promise you, you'd either been the first or the second person I'd have called. But yeah, I didn't know that. Where'd they go?
Best I remember that they were in the Andes, in that, but not as far up or as far south.
Wow. Hmm.
More like in the Coyote.
So they weren't down the Ayacucho yet. Any of y'all want to ask Raymond where he was? He can tell you now. Because the lady at
He said that don't exist. I said, well, that's where I'm But he wanted the area.
right.
Had to call David over to rescue.
Right. I'm going to tell you what, those people at the customs desk, it don't matter if you're in Peru or if you're in Atlanta, they're very serious people. They're not fun people. No, they don't like jokes at all. Some of them will ask you questions. Some people get the ones that say, glad you're back. Send you right on your way. I got the one that wanted to know, where'd you go? What did you do? Why were you doing it? How did you do it? She asked me why we went. I was like, it's a mission trip. She said, why were you in Peru? I was like, went for a mission trip. Where did you go? Chavinia. Why were you on a mission trip? I was like, sharing Jesus. And she just said, did you bring home anything of this value? I was like, no, ma'am. And she said, how much cash do you have on you? I was like, what? Let me check. I was like, I don't know for sure, but I think I got about $300 in my wallet. So she's like, okay, here, you can go now. I was like, wow. And then I get James's story. He didn't ask me anything. He just said, hey, come on. Wow. Yes, that's true. I've been to Peru 5 times. And the first time and this last time, somebody in my party got pulled out. The first time it was Gary. We are halfway down the hallway and they start running at Senor Scott. And we're all like, what? Scott said, no, you have to come back. So, yeah, right. And then we get done and we get to Atlanta. We're going through, and all of a sudden, this man's walking with Brother John, going across over here to the offices. Yeah, had it in a bag. He sure did. I was like, wow, what did you do? So. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff we can laugh about now, but when when it came time, we had to make. We were sitting at the meeting with Francisco, and he's telling us stuff, and I'm trying to think, and I've just been notified by my translator, we don't have bus tickets to get back down to Lima on Saturday. Nope, can't take Sunday either. It's full up too. I'm like, well, we're going to be off this mountain this weekend. We're not hanging around to Monday to just see if we can squeak right in there to the airport. We're getting off this mountain. And so all my little gears are turning. And some people say I have a tail when I'm frustrated. But anyway, but God was good. He protected us the whole time. We never had any incidents that we couldn't get through. We had very good translators. Jerry, I've been with him a couple times. We had Isaac with us also this time, and he was great. He's a young man. He's he don't know how to take us anymore, but he knows about people from North Florida now, so he's
still all kinds of stories.
yeah. Yes. Oh, yes. He's vegan. And so, the cattle racer, he's scared of cows. Oh, when we left Francisco's house Friday morning after we'd eaten breakfast, I see this cow and calf coming down the street, and there's a car in front of it. And so I'm paying attention to the cow and the calf, and they're coming along, and the car pulls up right beside me and stops. I look in the car, there's a baby calf in the back seat. She had a set of twins, and one of the twins was walking with the cow. The other one was in the car, and I reached in and scratched its chin, and he stopped right there for me to look at it. And I was like, that's cool. And so, but Isaac is scared of cows. he thinks they're just, what? Yeah. I was trying to hold that, but anyway, we'll share that at another time. Yeah, right. But prayer requests. Yes. Think he'll be out by tomorrow. Is that right? Or anybody heard? Okay. We'll pray that he will be able to come home tomorrow. Will they let Ingrid stay in the hospital? I don't know what the COVID restrictions are now. I'd hate to be in Lima with COVID. Them folks up down there, they're serious about it. Yeah, but us.
Well, while y'all were gone, all things went well because there were a few people, or a lot of people that were praying.
Yes. Mimi, were you praying for us? Did you pray for us?
Pretty much night and day.
I know you did, because everything went smooth enough. It didn't go perfect like I wanted it to, but it went like it was supposed to. Uh-huh. Okay. Everything's okay there so far?
So far,
They're watching.
yeah, they said today or yesterday and today, or no, today and tomorrow are the big days.
Critical days, okay.
She's gonna be
All right. Any other prayer requests?
Well, yeah, my dad, just for salvation, because I guess he's stubborn. He thinks he's saved, I can't judge that. But
Yes, ma'am.
doesn't-
No fruit? Were you able to talk to him very much?
Yes.
Well, good. Awesome. Great.
Very, very stubborn. His health isn't good. I mean, he's
Right.
It's going out the hill, feel like it's running out of time.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Carson, maybe Carson, that I asked you to bring for like 4 years ago. He was born and he had open heart surgery not long after he was born. I think he may have already had 3 open heart surgeries by the age of 4. It could only be 2, I'm not sure. But he is scheduled to have another one, I think, August 25th. He's 4 years old. He is the biggest daredevil I've ever seen. He's on size for his age. I mean, he just does everything. He's all boy. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. He's going to do it. But, so they're a little more nervous, I think, this time going in, because they know how he is right now. And I guess they are just worried that with this surgery, maybe some of that's going to change, or
Right.
he won't be able to do what he does and follow his sister around like he does. But, he's going this coming week, I think on Monday, Tuesday maybe. He's got to have some dental work done. Something about the heart surgery or the medicine he's going to be on, something messes with his teeth.
Yeah.
So they've got to pull 2 of his teeth. I think 2 of his front teeth. They've got to pull something about the medicine in your heart. It's all related. I don't understand. But they had to pull it.
They gave him medication that he was going to the dentist, he had to take that
Yeah.
before he went.
So he's got to get those 2 teeth pulled. So they're a little nervous about that too, I think, because, he's 4 years old. He's been missing these 2 teeth for like at least 3 years. So just pray for them this week as they go down to Shands, and then they'll go sometime before the 25th for pre-op and all that. It was scheduled for the end of July, but the lady that was booking the appointments was double booking almost everybody, and she quit like the day of their appointment. But she had double booked them with somebody else, and they were already en route to Shands, and they had to call and tell them no. So they were already prepped in their mind for surgery, and it got pushed back a month. So.
I think she works for IMB's guest house registration.
So his name's Carson. Just pray for him.
Dylan, Nikki's friend, little girl, 2-year-old girl had kidney.
Yeah, she's got some other stuff too. I don't remember the specifics of that.
Sure.
I told Carol, I think it was Carol, I told her, you don't pray for anybody that much without loving them. I mean, it's just strange how you just love them and want them to get home safely.
Well, I sure do appreciate it, if nobody else does. We're ready to get home. I wish we could have stayed the extra Friday night and met with those people. That was just something that we were hoping to get to meet with a few more adults. We met with several, but there was supposed to be more there that night. And Francisco wanted us to be, we were originally supposed to come back down on Friday, but we extended it out so that we would be able to be there. But somebody fell down on getting the bus reservations, so it worked out the way it was supposed to. But definitely keep Brother John in your prayers, that he's got sinus stuff up there at 12,000 feet, as dry as it is. I don't remember it being that dry, but it is. It was dusty. They wiped down everything with a cloth. They put a cloth on a broom, wet it down, and they scrubbed their concrete floors or tile, whatever it is, because it's dusty and dry. And when the wind blows, it's fine as flour. It gets in everywhere. So that's what affected Brother John. Also, it affected Raymond and James too. Their sinuses gave them fits a little bit. So yes, he had a blister on his foot that he got from when they went to Wild Adventures. I didn't know that until we started going up onto the mountain. I'm like, what? Yeah. And he can't, I assume he can't feel the bottom of his feet. If he doesn't notice it, he doesn't know to doctor it and whatnot. So, but I don't think it was his foot as much as it was the altitude and the oxygen levels. But if we had known that, I know Brandon Griffin took oxygen down when I forget which person it was in their group that went down and needed oxygen. But that's a touchy thing too. Security don't like that. They see that canister, they get kind of worried about that. He got pulled into a concrete bunker room. He's like, look, I got to get on my flight. Y'all can keep the canister. He was just bringing it back to give to Ryan because he got the oxygen tank from Ryan Helms. And it's like, they were giving him the third degree. He's like, look, keep it. I don't care. It's an oxygen tank. It's not like it's a bomb or anything. And it was empty. He was bringing the canister back. But anyway, so we could have taken oxygen down if we'd have known it might be necessary. I don't know if it would have helped it very much or not. The things you learn. What's the lady from New Hope, Miss the older lady that went down? She was in her 70s. She went down there fine, came back fine, and never had any side effects. There were some younger people in their group that went that time. They got sick, and she didn't. She didn't have any side effects. So you never know who's going to be affected by it. So it's just something you have to watch out for and take care of when it does happen. Anything else? Anybody want to pray? Okay. You go ahead and I'll close this out.
You may help them and deal with it. That's the trust in bring them around. All these others. Father, pray for ourselves and our church family, Brother John.
Yes.
Continue to deal with this. Thank you and lead us and guide us and let us go. In Jesus' name we pray.
Dear Gracious Father, we thank you for the time that we have heard the testimonies we've heard about what's going on in Slovenia. We pray for that situation. We pray for Francisco as his wife, his daughter, as they work in that area, that you would uplift them, that you would encourage them, ministry, that you would open doors, that the gospel would be preached, the gospel would be spread. We pray for your protection, your guidance in their lives, as they reach out to those in the community. With other workers, we pray for the workers being sent to the harvest, white at the harvest in that area.
Yes.
We pray for them. We thank you for those that went and for the safe travel and coming back. We pray for God to continue to heal. We pray for his resting. He was refreshed and he'll be back with us on Sunday. Lord, we thank you for the blessings that we receive from you. We pray for those that are against you. Young man, his child was going in surgery very soon, heart surgery, we pray for him. The doctors, that you would be with the doctors and nurses, God, give them wisdom and strength. God, their hand, they complete the surgery quickly and efficiently, and help them to recover quickly. To his parents that have gone through this time, strengthen them, rely upon you. I will pray for each one that's here. We ask that you guide the refuge of us as we go out this place, that our heart would be upon you, that our mind, our actions would represent what you have for us, each of us to represent you, and what it would be beneficial, honoring to you. Thank you for your strength, guidance, love, to go to this, to be in that place now together. Such mercy, you be upon us. In Christ's name we do pray.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to be back in your house tonight, dear Lord. We just pray that you will be with Dakota and her family as they're getting over COVID, dear Lord. And we know that the doctors are a little anxious about her heart condition. Pray that you will just be with her and be with the doctors as they monitor. We just pray that you will be with our church family and be with our missionary family as we try to reach people in this community, and they're trying to reach people in Chavinia, dear Lord. Pray that you will give them the strength they need. Help us to know how to help them to extend their reach if they need to, dear Lord. And I just pray that you will continue to help them to be effective in all that they are doing, dear Lord. Pray that you will be with us when we come to meet with you again on Sunday morning, dear Lord. I pray that you will bless our efforts and our time spent with you, dear Lord. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.